very good midday to our valued judges here today. What I'm going to talk about today is basically Microsoft. I'd like to apologize for the transparency being a bit smudged on the way down from where we were prepping. So basically, Microsoft now is in a transition where they're described in the case study as new wine in an old bottle. What this means is Microsoft wants to move away from whatever they did in the past and try to do something new. But the thing is, with the industry that they're in, technology is always ever changing. It evolves from year to year. It evolves. It doesn't stay stagnant. What Microsoft did in the past was they were just happy about the staying there, being stagnant, being complacent, and just defending whatever they had. But again, as the case study states, that the industry does not respect tradition. They only respect innovation. And this is what Microsoft is trying to do. They want to change their way of thought. They want to change the whole thing about Microsoft now. They want to move along with the times. But before that, I would like to just introduce to you my team members here. My name is Fadli. I have Andy and Terim and Fiza. We've found out there are two really big issues that is stopping Microsoft from changing the way they think. Basically, the first is basically culture, and second will be product. I will be introducing you the first issue along with Fiza, and me and Terry will be talking about the second issue about product. So what we talk about culture is that we identify culture as being one of the most major issues here. Because when you want to move forward, when you want to change in the industry of technology, you need people who are very innovative. You need people who can grasp and acknowledge that yes, these things are happening and we need to move along with them. But at the moment, the culture at Microsoft isn't at that stage where everyone is on the same page. Because they also went through a lot of changes in the past 10 years. They changed structure, they changed CEOs. And because of this, it becomes more of a hindrance to them. So because of that culture, we found out that people who worked with Microsoft had a bad history because they weren't very receptive of the people they're going to work with. And then because of that culture, because this strategy got stacking where now people are mostly looking just to protect their own hides, they say. They're not really wanting to, let's try to do this and achieve the organization goals. But because of this strategy that was implemented, currently that was before implemented, is that people are just only looking after themselves. So that's one of the things that has caused innovation and decision making to be really slow. That one people doesn't agree, he doesn't agree, and then innovation wise is like, they don't value innovation anymore in Microsoft. That was the big key thing, the culture there. If you try to be innovative, it won't happen because they were talking about politics. Everyone in Microsoft were now very good at politics, they were very bad at innovation. So because of that, resulting into loss on market share and revenue in terms of, that's supposed to be mobile devices and search online engines as an example. Because had they been more innovative in the past, had they been more aware of what the market was about, they would have capitalized on the market of tablets, mobile phones, as well as search engines. So that's the first issue that we have found out. And for the products, we call it a substandard products right there, because when Microsoft came out with something new, the media obviously tried to hype it up. Say Microsoft's coming out with this really new product. It's won all these awards, but actually the product hasn't gone out yet. And when it comes out, it doesn't live up to expectations. Is that when you want to buy a Ferrari, but then it drives like a Toyota, doesn't feel so right now, right? Isn't it? So these are two really issues that Microsoft need to really address. The culture, because the people working at Microsoft will be the ones trying to create these products, these new innovative products for these consumers. If you don't change the first issue, then the products that they will be obviously churning out will obviously still be substandard. So I would like to pass it on to Fiza, who will be explaining the second slide.
I will talk about the two big issues of the culture division of the culture. Firstly is the slow decision in the company, as the company has a more critical layers of decision making, therefore making the decision final decision quite slow. And we suggest to have a more wide layer decision making. Although we understand that with wide decision making, wide horizontal, wide organization decision making, the decision is made by few on the top layer. But we also suggest that although the decision is made by those at the top, we encourage the recommendation and suggestion from the employees as well. So therefore, with this wide organization structure will give a more harmony decision making. And as mentioned by my colleague, the slow innovation has led to the decline in the sales of mobile device and online search engine. With that, our recommendation is to have a more efficient and productive working environment. And we really need to find the ways on how to keep the employee stay with the company and not instead of going to the competitors. We need to keep these talents stay in the company and produce more innovative products for the growth of the company. By innovation through collaboration, following the Berners-Lee, the former CEO, who suggests the change in the organizational structure of the company before he left, we need to make sure that this suggestion is we need to ensure this suggestion is kept in place after he left. And with that, we need to ensure employees understand the mission and objective of the company. Although we understand that there are different departments in the company, the marketing, the sales, the research and the development department, we want to have like a group attachment to a group of discussion of where the direction of the company is going at the moment. And with that, we will ensure the more sustainable growth of the company. Other than paying attention to the monetary incentive of the bonus incentive and in terms of money, we need to also pay attention to the needs in terms of the sense of belonging to and attachment to the company itself. Therefore, we would like to suggest that the company perhaps could do, for example, if it were the employer birthday today, the company could give a small gift, a chocolate or a flower, or the Valentine's for those who are single. This can create the sense of belonging to the company and a sense that, I am appreciated as part of the company. I am appreciated with the time I'm working with the company. With that, we have the implementation. In terms of the implementation in short term, with this far more harmonious and efficient productivity of the organization structure, in the short term will give a more efficient and productive environment and more lively. We don't want to work in an environment where we come to work just to stay at a workplace. We want to talk around, socialize with other colleagues of other departments as well, and more instead of being stressful of getting the job done. In the long term, this will create an attachment to the company and thus reducing the workers leaving the company. And an increase in profit as this company who stays in the company, this talented company and these talented employees who stay in the company are motivated to produce new innovative products and ensuring more creative minds to the end product of the company. In the long term, the suggestion is definitely will provide a more profitable and more sustainable working environment, thus giving more sustainable success to the company itself. And now I will pass the rest of my discussion to my colleague.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be talking about the operating system and how to increase in the device and services strategy of Microsoft. So as the culture reorganization will help in the innovation decisions made and to make them efficiently, we need to focus more on how to get the devices out there into the market. Although Microsoft already has Surface and the Windows Phone, but they are not as well established, not that well there in terms of expectations that people have from Microsoft. As Microsoft is going through an acquisition with Nokia, we like to leverage the expertise that Nokia has in the hardware department in terms of the mobile and the tablet hardware, and we would like to use the software as Microsoft itself is specialized in software. We want to keep using that, although people do say that it'd be beneficial for Microsoft to use the Android, but yes, it's user friendly, but Microsoft itself is in-house name and it specializes in software development. So if we want Microsoft to keep on using that in their Surface tablets and Windows phones, so it will not only help keep the compatibility with the PCs and the other tablets existing in the you already using the Microsoft software. So how can Microsoft leverage on Nokia's expertise is as it needs to develop as the cloud ecosystem is more developed for Microsoft, but it lacks in mobile ecosystems. In terms of application development, as application developers, according to the case, say that it's hard to work with Microsoft. So as we'll hope that let me re-say that. We need to develop a stronger ecosystem for mobiles for Microsoft, and as it is difficult in terms for application developers to work with Microsoft, the reorganization will help developers and increase the connection and the communication among application developers, so it will enhance the application development and applications there for Microsoft to use for its Windows Phone and Surface tablets. The second problem with the ecosystem for mobiles and the tablets for Microsoft is the mobile and telecommunication networks that around the world. But by acquiring Nokia, we will leverage the in-house expertise of Nokia and increase that that network, and which will help us with the Windows phone and the tablet present to launch in different various markets. So, like I said, we don't want to. As people say that they have suggested to use the Android. Have suggested to use the Android. Have suggested to use the Android phone. The previous one. Have suggested to use the Android system, but as I said, it is user friendly. But Microsoft itself is a software application development. So we want to keep using the Microsoft software as it is cheap and it's already existing in our Surface and mobile phone tablets. Other than that, Android is our competitor, so they will not be coming and working with us in terms of the software. So we do not want to cause that problem, and if we use the Android, being a software developer, it doesn't look nice or it is not good for Microsoft to go to another operating software. It goes against its actual purpose of being a company. And of course we specialize in the OS system. So we want to keep the Microsoft OS in the Surface and the mobile tablets, and use the Nokia hardware to increase our market presence and to develop products that are well used and have the characteristics to be in direct competition with Apple and the other Android tablets and mobile phones. And with that, I pass on to my colleague.
Thank you very much, Terry. So next, I'll be talking about the integration and the innovation of Microsoft. First, to integrate, the problem is to integrate both Nokia and Microsoft, to put them together to make full use of their staff and their knowledge between the two companies that is about to merge. And secondly, for the innovation part, to consistently maintain focus on producing the high quality products that is able to be marketed throughout the world as well. Next slide, please. So, first of all, we'll be talking about the Nokia plus Microsoft mergers. So first of all, we can see here that Nokia has 30,000 staff, while Microsoft has 100,000 staff. This shows that those two are very big companies. For them to merge, there are a lot of difference in culture, and also the change in the organizational structure will be without negative effect. So what Nadella was trying to do was to implement both the merger between Nokia and Microsoft to become a fully functional company that is focused on innovation. So for Nadella's, the solution would be to maintain the organizational structure between of the previous CEO in Microsoft, because that organizational structure is catered towards innovation while abandoning the staff stacking. The staff stacking organizational structure. This helps Microsoft to build up its more innovative purposes and to only do tweaks towards the original existing organizational structure as well in Microsoft by changing the personnel only. So with that, we also would like to maintain the leaders in Nokia in their respective departments, meaning Nokia would have their own personal strengths, their own personal weaknesses. So with their strengths, we are to leverage on the leadership that is already in Nokia to work for Microsoft to develop new tablets or new mobile devices. Next slide, please. Also next. Alright, next, the most important part is the innovation through collaboration. What this means is that Nokia is to focus. An article once said that is also stated by my friend here, shows that Nokia always jumps into the new market. But because of that, they always have that great hype, but in the end, they always fail to deliver. So what they must do is to focus on perfecting the product that they are about to release to the public. So with focus, what the department should do is to provide incentives for staffs and leaders alike to be more innovative in their future, in the development of the product itself. With the incentives given, this will encourage more innovation, not only given to the leaders in the department, but also to the staffs that would be able to contribute to the company as well. So for example, if I am a staff working for the Microsoft and I'm not a leader or I'm not in a position of power, but if I have an idea that would bring change or would indeed help develop the product better, there would be maybe a monetary incentive bonus or even a positional incentive bonus as well. So next, for Nadella, he would have to define the clear and defined path of where Microsoft is heading. So with this said, the path where Microsoft should be heading would be towards the mobile first and the cloud first mobile market, because that is the new emerging market that would be given to them. And lastly, most importantly as well, is to have that strong leadership in that company, which would ensure that the company is consistently focused on innovating, bringing new ideas, bringing new tablets, and lastly, being able to be a great market share in not only the PC industry that is consistently defending, but also in the new mobile market as well. So with that, we'd like to conclude that Microsoft would have to be focused on innovating, focus on consistently being consistent in their products in the future, and also being a top leader in their industry. Thank you.
now you have 15 minutes for Q&A with Darussalam.
I have to admit, I'm a little bit confused about the proposed changes to the organisational structure that you're proposing. On the one hand, it seems that you want to keep things very much the same as it has been, but also you want to actually get rid of the tall, narrow triangle and make it a long, flat one. So I suppose I'd be interested to hear how you reconcile those sort of what appears to be sort of conflicts. And then would you be proposing redundancies? And you say that potentially you would keep the structure, but you would change the people. But how are you going to change the people? What's going to entice them to come to you?
We suggest the organization structure to be wide because we want to have a more short decision making between the top manager, but there will be a minimum redundancy among the employees because these employees will be placed between the top manager. They will divide into a more larger groups, and they can have more deeper discussion among the departments and so on.
If I may add, and also in the case study as well, Nokia, after Microsoft acquired Nokia, the CEO of Microsoft put the CEO of Nokia to be the head of the development engineering sector as well, if I'm not mistaken. Because of that, it shows that Microsoft will leverage on the existing knowledge and the existing structure as well. By putting him as the leader, it would also benefit the development sector in Microsoft because they have their own strengths. Microsoft have their own strengths. So by putting people like the CEO of Nokia to be the head of the development engineers, it will allow Microsoft to leverage on his existing expertise and knowledge as well to bring up the tablet and mobile market.
And then related to all of this, you've got sort of the change in the culture and the work environment as a short-term action, which I sort of query whether you can actually implement that kind of change in culture quite so quickly. But it's also going to be a less stressful environment. Is that because there's less politics? Because these people actually should be taking what is a fairly unsuccessful business and working frantically to try and bring it up to the standard of their competitors and beyond. So surely it should be a more stressful environment. They should have more incentive and drive to actually achieve, rather than what I understand is currently quite a comfortable environment where everybody maintains the status quo. What's your thought on that?
As I mentioned in my discussion, we understand that monetary incentive like money is not everything to everyone. So we want to focus to trigger the inner emotion of belonging to the company so that they can provide more innovation and creative minds to have the product developed.
If I can add to that, due to the ranking system or the performance management system existing in Microsoft, it actually introduced a lot of politics, as people didn't want to work with people who are as good as them or better than them, as it was more of a comparative marking within teams. So by changing the structure, it helps you to do better, as it's more performance management. Based on the performance, it's decided how well you performed overall, your abilities within the performance within the year or within the whatever time period they have. So this will help them to do better to achieve the goals, as they know they'll be marked on their ability and what they could achieve, and increase the working among people with good minds and who are as good as them and even better than them, instead of the bureaucratic or the politics within the company that happen due to more of a stack ranking performance management system.
Yeah. And do you think that if I was, let's say, a second tier manager in your stack ranking system, that in the brave new world going forward, I will be happy to sort of collaborate with all the people who were below me previously, or do you think I might actually decide to go somewhere else, take my talent elsewhere? Because effectively, it's a demotion, isn't it? I used to be a manager and now I'm not.
Yes, that would be true. But because we are now seeking contribution, if your talents are the one that's going to contribute to our future success, our future innovations, why would you want to leave? Because first of all, yes, you might be demoted, but because of your innovation, because of your new ideas, as we say it, it will also allow you to showcase your talents as well, which will essentially be put into the product if it is a good idea or a new innovation.
Yeah, but I could, sorry, to my last point, but I could be a manager, not an innovator, and suddenly I'm being asked to go from managing people to being innovative with everybody else. It sounds like two different skill sets, but you're not proposing to get rid of these middle managers.
Sorry, my teammate asked, could you rephrase the question again? Sorry.
Okay, so the skill of managing is very different from the skill of innovating. They're two different sort of things, and you're basically saying that we're going to streamline the management system, take these people out of their middle management position, and put them into an innovative role to sort of enhance development and so on. I don't think those two skills are compatible. I think you've either got innovators or you've got managers. I can't see how you're not going to have to make some people redundant. let other people say something.
I think it will be highly dependent on the situation itself as well, because with big changes happening, there will be obviously redundancies happening in the short run. You want to take off the dead weight of the company and ensure that everyone that stays is actually the people that actually mean something to the company, the ones that are innovative. So it's really depending on the situation, where if a manager is the one who's saying that he will be demotivated into another rank, then we're going to ideally work around the situation where he could be the managers of the innovators, in the sense where he still is a manager, but he's in charge of the innovation team, where he looks after these people. It's not much of a demotivation in terms of rank, but it's just keeping your skill set where it's needed. So we put you where it's needed in the restructuring of the organization itself. So obviously, again, redundancies will happen, but I think it depends on the situation and the individual itself. If you have a really highly good skill set, you'll be safe in the company.
I have a question. If I heard it correctly, you're suggesting that we'll keep Nokia a separate division within the merged Microsoft and Nokia group. Okay, so will that actually fully utilize the benefits of acquiring Nokia into Microsoft? Do you see the synergy of having Nokia acquired into Microsoft, with Nokia remains as a separate division of the enlarged group?
And as far as I understand, we want to use Nokia fully. We don't want to completely do them separately, divide them. What I think my colleague meant was that as an example of integrating the change in the company, we don't want to keep Nokia employees and Microsoft employees separate. We want to integrate it fully, and a Nokia CEO in the engineering division is good. Of course, in terms of what we need from Nokia, we will put that person in that position. They will not be demoted just because Nokia was acquired by Microsoft.
In your presentation, you focused on two principal areas where you felt that there needed to be changes, or where you had ideas which could bring the company forward. One of them you focused on was culture, and my colleague James asked you a lot of questions, and you also gave a lot of views in terms of how you would do that. The other side you focused on was products, and one of the areas that you mentioned a need to strengthen was to develop a stronger ecosystem. Now, my question is, I would be grateful if you could expand that further in terms of how you would go around doing this. Now, if you look at history, you had Nokia, who had its own mobile platform, Symbian, which failed. And equally, you have Microsoft, which had tried to develop a mobile Windows platform, which equally failed. So how would you go around, now that you've got these two companies who failed at trying to do something themselves, coming together, how would you envisage they should go around strengthening that ecosystem?
If I can answer your question, we know that Microsoft is very good in software development. It's a household name. In the same way, Nokia will provide Microsoft the ability, the hardware, which Microsoft is not there yet in the market. Although it developed itself, but it didn't do well in the market. So using the hardware capabilities of Nokia, we would like to use our specialty in or Microsoft's specialty in the software to bring these together in a way that will create a phone, a Windows phone or a tablet that will increase, which will have better characteristics and qualities to compete in the market with existing tablets and phones.
If devil's advocate, if I am Samsung and my competitor is Nokia, who now has Microsoft and is developing a system to go into into Nokia phones, why would I use them when I'm effectively buying from my competitor, Nokia and their parent? Why would I just use like an Android, which is an open platform?
Sorry, could you please rephrase the question?
If I rephrase it, as a competitor to Nokia, why should I buy their mobile platform to use in my phones?
Well, basically, basically it's because when you look, as you said earlier, you look at Nokia and also look at Microsoft, that these two had failed in their attempts to create their phones. So now Nokia should be looking around, say, something's wrong with whatever we're trying to do in the mobile industry. It has got to be either it's their hardware or it could be the software. And Microsoft, on the other hand, also in the same predicament, is where their hardware systems weren't really that exceptional, but their operating systems now currently are actually on the rise in the mobile market. So by using both their expertise and their strengths, also using the cloud system, and that we create a harmonious ecosystem where Nokia can just come in and provide the body, and while Microsoft comes in with the Windows OS, put it in a phone that looks exceptionally well and works really well on the Windows, I think Windows 8.1 if I'm not mistaken at the moment, and create a phone and then give a really good product. And this is why we were looking for the harmonious ecosystem where from Nokia to Microsoft, also connected to the cloud system. That answers the question.
1 minute left.
Thank you very much.